Hello there, it's Haley with the Armageddon Report. We're going to try to make this one a short one because there are much more intelligent people you should be listening to get your up-to-date information on things such as Hurricane Isaac. So, Isaac, still actually a tropical storm, even though the NHC had previously predicted that Isaac would have been like a hurricane back here, and then I think originally even back there. So the good news, somewhat, is that Isaac now, the NHC has it topping out at Category 1 hurricane status. I believe as of yesterday they had put Category 2 hurricane status. However, that does not change the fact that Isaac is going to have a whole bunch of impacts. Like, if you look at the satellite loop, Isaac is quite a large storm. So, you know, even if just the eye hits something, doesn't mean that there won't be hundreds of miles impacted by what's going on. These are the radar loops, so if you're wondering, it looks like it's incomplete. Well, that's because they don't have radar sites out in the middle of the ocean. So you're seeing the radar that's been pulled off of, like, the land-based Doppler radar sites. There's a whole bunch of places with local hurricane statements in effect. So you should pick whichever one is closest to you and read that. But unfortunately, it is kind of the wall of text. A wall of capital letters. Someone has the caps lock key turned on. And I still plan on passing that in the future to make it easier to read. Don't know if I'll have that ready in time, though. But land hazards, what's going on with this? Storm surge, wind, rainfall, tornadoes, surf. Let's go down here to the... Oh, let's talk about this first. So here's where the hurricane warnings are. That's the red thing. The purple is hurricane watch. That is tropical storm watch, yes. And then that is a tropical storm warning along these coastlines with that. Public advisory, we go down here to look at, I already scrolled past it all, there it is, okay. Storm surge, so here are specific areas where they give, 6 to 12 feet of storm surge possible for southeast Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. So I believe, Katrina, I think it was 25. So on the one hand, the storm surge isn't as high, but of course it didn't make a direct hit on New Orleans. Now, hopefully, of course, New Orleans much more, prepared this time. I have no idea, though. It's all crazy. But yes, lots of rain expected with, Isaac. As you'd expect, of course. Here's the technical discussion, if you'd like to read that. It's got lots of technical words in it, I don't know. So yes, that's what's going on right now. Current, or max predicted wind speeds at 90 miles per hour, and yeah. So... And, here's something else. Here's something I find interesting. I have never ever seen a tropical cyclone of any sort go that far inland, at least in the United States. So Missouri apparently is going to be not just experiencing like the after effects, but they've actually got it officially as still a tropical depression. So this thing is just booking, and it's, obviously things could change. And look at this, spaghetti models just all over the place. Yes, let's go back to the main page and talk about the Northwest Pacific, where we've got places like South Korea that are going to get hit twice. Right now by Bolaven, and then soon afterwards by Tembin. Tembin/Igmi. Igmi is the Philippines name for the storm. It started out here, did a loop-de-loop, and now it's almost traversing the same path as Bolaven is. So if we look at these markers, this one is from Bolaven. This would be August 28th. 1800 hours UTC. The one right next to it, though, is August 31st, 1800 hours UTC. So yes, and there's some typhoon warnings and advisories in effect for that area. So yeah, lots going on. Let's talk about the outlooks of stuff that may happen. So Eastern Pacific is the most likely one at the time. 90% chance of tropical cyclone formation. That one, if it reaches tropical storm status, would be Tropical Storm Ileana, I believe how it's pronounced. We've got 30% chance over here and 10% chance back there. And of course, Isaac originally formed somewhere off of, well, not formed, wasn't officially a tropical cyclone. So these are obviously things to pay attention to in the long term, but, obviously not a threat at the moment. So in terms of Armageddon, there's been some earthquake Armageddon as well. 7.3 offshore El Salvador. Now the nice thing about that is did you feel it? Or at least as was reported to the USGS, the max was a 4, which I believe is like moderate shaking and no damage. So that's at least good news with that. But that's just insane. And speaking of insane, something is obviously awry in Southern California. 335 earthquakes compared to the number 2 slot of 27. Now, it was as high when I was looking at this earlier as 400-something earthquakes. And I mean, it's just nuts. This list just goes on and on forever. And of course, there is something, you know, that this list is really missing, and that's a map. Obviously, it'd be nice to say, oh, here's a map of all 335 Southern California earthquakes. So I'll build that at some point. Probably not today. Probably going to procrastinate on it. Here is the hazards map for the US. So here's, you know, basically Isaac type threats. And then over here we've got red flag warnings, extreme fire danger. This slightly, if you can tell, there's like a little bit of a khaki thing. And then there's a pinkish khaki type color, or whatever it'd be called. Well, that's the fire weather watch, I do believe. Let's make sure. Yes, fire weather watch. It's slightly different. See, there's like 3 things here that are all basically the same flipping color. Right, so that is where fire weather, the conditions are favorable such that if a fire gets set, it gets spread quite quickly. What they need to do is, you know, just bring some of Isaac over there. Isaac will just put the whole thing out. Severe thunderstorm-wise today, by the time you're watching this, because it is close to the next update, it'll probably be updated. But 5% chance of winds, 5% chance of hail, 5% chance of a tornado, which is apparently why they've chosen to put the slight risk on that. So actually, let us refresh that. And there'll probably be completely different data. Let's look at the mesoscale discussions that are in effect. So we've got Arizona with the isolated strong to severe thunderstorm wind gusts possible this afternoon and evening. What was it? South Dakota, Nebraska area isolated damaging wind gusts and large hail possible this afternoon and evening. Let's talk. However, though, no watches in effect at the moment, apparently. So, wind-wise, this would be 58 mile per hour and greater winds, weather possible, so 5% there, and there. Hail-wise is just the threat for this area, and then tornado-wise is all about Florida. So, as high as a 5% in these brown areas and a 2% around it. So, what would that mean with the numbers? And this applies to all of the numbers. The numbers mean such that, like, if I pick this random point in Florida, that means there's a 5% chance that that random point or someone within a 25-mile radius of them we'll see a tornado today. Yes, and going back for the rest of the days, it's 5% and then potential too low on that. And since it's basically all about where Isaac is, we'll just cover those on the days when it's actually occurring or whatnot. SevereWeatherTV.com is the official homepage of this screencast. Yes, that's where you can watch the old ones for some reason. The droughts and stuff. And then Wicked Wix, of course, WICKEDWX.com. I just kind of that out my mouth today. Cyclocane is CYCLOCANE.com. I kind of slurred that one as well. Right, so that's what's going on. It's the whole world's on fire. It's either it's on fire because of the red flag warnings, it's flooded because of Isaac, it's droughted because of the drought, or it's apparently shaken up by an earthquake. That's what's happening today. Yes. So hopefully you've finished all of your hurricane preparations, and of course for a lot of people that means I've picked up enough alcohol to last me for as long as it takes. Right, I'm ready to ride this thing out, baby. Anyway, that's it for today, and hopefully you all stay safe out there.